Tonight we're going to cover the Florida Senate election between incumbent Senator Bill Nelson and sitting Governor Rick Scott. Florida often finds itself at the center of American politics during election season, and this November will be no different. Florida's Senate race features two popular incumbents in a state that President Trump won by 1.2% in 2016. Scott is no stranger to close elections. He was first elected to the governor's mansion in 2010, winning by just over 1 point. He then won re-election in 2014 by 1 point again. Both came in Republican wave years. Now he's term limited, but that doesn't prevent him from running for a new office, the U.S. Senate. Nelson, on the other hand, hasn't faced a tough re-election campaign prior to now, having won his last two elections by over 15 points. This sets up a clash between two popular, prominent figures in Florida, both with over plus 15 favorability ratings and plenty of money to spend. With over $50 million spent on this race already, it's the most expensive midterm in the nation. Scott has raised over $30 million, while Nelson has compiled 19. Independent groups have also thrown their money into the battle, spending more than $13 million to build up and tear down the candidates. Some of the key issues debated include the toxic algae blooms which have plagued the state, gun control, specifically after the Pulse nightclub and Parkland High School shootings, and Nelson has called for universal background checks and a temporary ban on semi-automatic assault rifles, while Scott recently passed a law raising the gun purchasing age to 21. One key voting bloc to watch on election night is the Hispanic vote. Cuban Americans, they tend to vote Republican in Florida, and while there's been much contention over the Puerto Rican vote in reaction to the hurricane recovery efforts, those voters could be the difference with a razor-thin margin on election night. Another deciding factor could be African American turnout. It's expected to be elevated due to Andrew Gillum's governor's race. Gillum is the first African American nominee for governor in Floridian history. The last 4 polls released for this race, tied, Scott up 2, and Nelson up 1. This race is one of the 10 races that features an incumbent Democrat running in a Trump-won state. And if the Democrats want any chance of taking back the Senate in November, they'll need to hold on to almost all of those seats, starting with Florida.